Hello and welcome to Dad Got This, where it's the tough questions like, how would I tackle a traditional British Sunday roast dinner? And what do you call it when James Bond takes a bath? That second one's easy. 007. This is a viewer request from someone who said, could you do a British Sunday roast? Well, I am not British, so I will do my best at doing a British Sunday roast. I am 50% Italian and 50% every other European country, so there is a chance that I have some UK blood in me somewhere. However, the closest I have ever gotten to the UK is Epcot. So please forgive me if this is not traditional. This is just me attempting a British Sunday roast. The first question was, what do we roast? I put that up to you guys, and you guys pretty much all chose beef. Now, to do this, we have to go back a day.
Why did we go back a day? So we could dry brine our roast. This is about a 3-pound ribeye roast, and I am just going to cover it with some sea salt. About 1% by weight of sea salt. Now, you don't need to be super particular with this. Really, it's a huge chunk of beef. All you need to do is get a decent little coating of sea salt all the way around the roast. Just cover every section, and you're probably close to your 1%. If you want to weigh it out, you totally can. And now, we're going to go ahead and put it in a fridge overnight uncovered.
And this is what it looks like after resting uncovered overnight in the fridge. We've lost quite a bit of moisture. It's down in the pan. And there is no hint of salt on this at all anywhere, which is what we want. I'm going to transfer it to a new one of these, just because there's a lot of moisture on that one that we don't need. At this point, it is time to season the roast, and we're not going to use any salt because we already did that. I'm going to hit it up with some avocado oil. I'm using that as a little bit of a binder, and we're just going to rub that in. The meat has definitely kind of firmed up a little bit, and we're just going to try to get it a little bit oily all around. Because I am me, I'm going to hit it up with a little bit of dad dust. This is granulated garlic, granulated onion, and a pinch of MSG. I basically use this on everything. I recently saw a meme online that said, somebody needs to tell people that this doesn't go on everything. No, it does. I'm also going to hit it up with a little bit of pepper. This is called brisket pepper, but it's just a chunky pepper. Should give us a nice flavor to our crust. And last, I'm going to hit it up with some herbes de Provence. I know it's French, not British, but I had them. A little bit of herb on your roast always tastes good. And now we do that all around. You can be generous with your seasoning. This is a big roast. It can take a lot of flavor. And all that flavor is on the outside, not really going to make it to the inside. So a nice punch of a flavorful crust always helps a roast, in my opinion. And there you go. One nicely herb-crusted prime rib. There is one more thing I am going to do, though.
I'm just going to give it a quick tie with some butcher's twine all the way around. This will help it hold shape.
My plan for this is we're going to use my favorite method, the reverse sear. We are going to go super low and slow. Get lots of smoke on this, really smoky in the beginning, and then we are going to sear the crap out of it at the end. Should give us a nice crust and a perfectly cooked roast. To do that, let's pop out to the wood fire. For this cook, I'm going to be using the smoke and pecan pellets. I use these because I know that I can use them at the startup with lots of smoke and not get a bitter taste. To do this, you're going to take your pellet hopper, fill it with pellets, and shake it from side to side. You shaking from side to side? Optional. Shaking this from side to side? Not. That is the dad shake. The dad shake either compacts the pellets and makes them burn better, separates the pellets and gives them lots of air and makes them burn better, or does absolutely nothing and just makes me feel like it burns better. I still do it every time. I'm going to leave it on this guy because I want to catch the drippings, and I have inserted the Ninja probe in there so we can monitor the temp. Smoker, temp, 180, time, doesn't matter. I'm going to fire up my Ninja Woodfire app since I happen to have the connected version. We are going to add it as a thermometer cook, and we're doing manual. And I want to take this guy up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Why am I picking 120 degrees Fahrenheit? Because I want to account for carryover cooking, give myself enough time to get a really nice sear on it, and a long rest. If your unit is not one of the connected ones, you can either pick up a digital thermometer or just an instant read and check it as you go and pull it at 120. Simple. We should have a lot of time to tackle the rest of the British Sunday roast dinner because it's not just that roast. There's a bunch of other stuff that goes with it. I'm going to actually make Yorkshire puddings for the very first time in my life. To do that, we need to make a Yorkshire pudding batter. and it's actually really easy. Get yourself a scale and a container. To that, you want to add 4 large eggs, 175 grams of whole milk, 25 grams of water, 2 grams of salt. I'm using sea salt. And the last thing you need is 150 grams of all-purpose flour. We are done with our scale, and mix. Then you take this, cover it, and let it set out for at least 30 minutes. But if you want even better, fluffier Yorkshire puddings, I've been told that you need to leave it in the fridge overnight or up to 3 days. Well, I made some of this the day before, and it looks much more mixed versus that's looking a little clumpy. So we're gonna stick all this in the fridge and move on to the next step. This is some beef stock. Empty this whole 32-ounce box of broth right in here. Into this, I'm going to add 1 4-ounce can of sliced mushrooms and 4 big chunks of garlic that I'm going to crush, like so. We're gonna bring this to a boil and then simmer it and let it reduce by half. That should give us a nice, thick, concentrated beef stock. Taking a look at this, I only did about 10 minutes of simmering. It has reduced down a little bit, smells wonderful. I think this is gonna be fine. I'm gonna go transfer this into another container. Over like a low to medium low heat, I've got 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. To our butter, we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of flour. When you are doing a gravy or a roux, equal parts butter to flour for however much gravy you want. Now you wanna whisk this constantly, make sure that it doesn't burn, and you wanna cook this off for at least 3 or 4 minutes to cook out all that raw flour. A few minutes later, and as you can see, we have this brown, nutty looking color, and that is perfect. It is time to add in our beef stock, but you don't add it in all at once. You gotta do it a little by little. I don't know why, but it really just makes a difference. So we add in a little, it gets really thick and chunky, and you're like, oh, that's terrible. And then you just keep doing that little by little. If you add it in all at once, the consistency is just different. I'll lower that back down a little bit. I'm gonna give it a taste. Wow, that needs salt. That has nothing flavor-wise in it. Unsalted butter, there's literally no salt in this right now. So we're gonna go with at least a teaspoon there of salt. Gosh, it just goes to show how important salt is to your food. Probably, because it was so undersalted, I'm gonna go with 2. Such a difference. Ah, okay. Right here at the end, we're gonna take another good knob, probably like maybe 2 tablespoons of butter. And we're gonna melt that right in there. This is gonna make the gravy a little bit velvety, a little bit better texture to it. And then I always like to add a little bit of heavy cream to my gravies. Probably 1/4 cup, 1/8 of a cup, something like that. Just a splash. I really like the creaminess that it adds. That's perfect for me. We're gonna transfer this to our container and we're gonna use it later. To make my Yorkshire puddings, I actually bought a popover tin. Supposedly, you need one of these to get those big, tall Yorkshire puddings. The final component of my Sunday roast dinner is gonna be some maple glazed carrots. These carrots are really simple. Carrot, peeler. Peel your carrot, top and tail. And then we're gonna try and flatten them on the sides. Just gonna run our knife down a little bit on one side so that they lay flat. Do that to all your carrots. We're now gonna grab ourselves a container, put our carrots in there, 4 tablespoons of butter, unsalted, melted. A bit of dad dust, healthy bit of salt, little bit of pepper, and some real maple syrup.
Once this is all done, just set them aside, put them in the fridge, leave them out, whatever you want to do. It has been about 3 hours since I put this in here, and I have not touched it or opened it or anything. Let's take a look. We are a few degrees early on our target of 120, but oh yeah, we are right where I want this bad boy. And now we wait for the grill to preheat, to grill high, so we can really sear this sucker off. I should also probably check if my popover tin is going to fit in the wood fire. It fits! Yes. We are now going to remove the strings. We do not need these anymore. She's preheated and ready to go. Just going to drop down a healthy amount of beef tallow. Nothing to it, but to just put it down and let it sizzle, get a crust, move it to a different part, move it, get every side you can until they have a beautiful color on it. It took me about 4 minutes to do this for the entire roast. All I did was tent it in foil. That looks awesome. We are now going to let that rest for 30 minutes to an hour, however long it takes to cook our carrots and our Yorkshire puddings. Even though the Yorkshire pudding thing fits, I've decided against it. I'm afraid that as they puff up, they're going to hit the fan. So we're going to cook those in the oven, and we'll cook the carrots in here. Let's get the carrots. Since this guy's hot and got a bunch of beef tallow on it, I just stuck them right on there, poured the extra butter and stuff on it, and let it go. I closed it for 2 minutes, flipped them, went to the other side, gave it another 2 minutes, and then I took them off, put them in the air fry basket, and decided to give the old flat top a quick clean with the scraper and water method. After that, we're going to pop these back in, and we're going to switch this to the air crisp setting with Woodfire on at 400 degrees and put them in for 25 minutes. Everything is basically done. It's just time to cook some Yorkshire puddings. 400 degrees Fahrenheit, get them smoking hot, put your beef drippings in, fill them, cook them for 20 to 25 minutes. You want to preheat your oven with your popover tin in it because you want it really hot when this happens. It's going to melt the drippings and kind of make everything work. Put a little bit of beef tallow in each one, filled them about half to 3/4 of the way, and threw them in the oven. Oh my gosh. Look at those. Those look fantastic. And there you go, an American's attempt at British Sunday roast dinner. I think it looks great. For never making Yorkshire puddings before, they look really good. I don't know if they taste any good, but let's go ahead and cut this sucker open, see what we ended up with. Ooh, yes, that looks pretty freaking good to me. That is about perfect medium rare. Love it. The thing I'm most interested in is, what does a Yorkshire pudding taste like? I don't know if I've ever had one. So I think you got to pour some gravy on it. It's like the best dinner roll ever. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to taste like, but it tastes quite good. Let's try my maple glazed carrots. They went a little longer than I wanted, but ooh, sweet, nice, carroty. I like that. I got to take a little bit here off the end of the rib cap. That's fantastic. Herby, perfectly seasoned, tender. Let's dip it in my gravy. That's fantastic. That is about a perfect Sunday roast dinner if you ask me. I think I did a decent job. If you happen to be from the UK, let me know. How'd I do? If you're enjoying this content, please do the likey subscribe thing. YouTube loves it when you leave a like. I love it when you leave a comment. I answer just about every comment in my comment section. If you really want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. You get behind the scenes access, you get all kinds of updates, you get members cuts, producer shout outs, credits, all kinds of fun stuff. But if you can't, subscribing is enough. If you'd like the recipe for any of these, I'm going to throw links in the description. They will be to my website, dadgotthis.com. And with all that out of the way, I guess there is only one question left to answer. What's the only kind of tea you can't take to space? Gravity. Yeah, pretty bad. Dad may tell horrible dad jokes, cook fantastic Sunday roast dinners, but one thing Dad will never do is an outro. So that's it. Bye. This is the part where I thank all of my members. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for your support, and rock on. I don't know why I said rock on, but rock on. Ooh. And yeah, it's full on raining.